Hello. The Magical Me. I'm Jamie Mendez, spiritual intuitive and oracle, and I'm here with my weekly Moonday Oracle Message. This is going to be a message for the week of December 28th, 2020, and it is a message of higher guidance for the collective and all those who find themselves here watching. So I do set the intention that those who are in most need of hearing this message will find themselves here, whether it be live, whether it be on the replay, even if the replay is months or years from now. Whenever it is that you find yourself here, there's going to be a message that resonates with you where you're at within your life at that time. So I'm just going to take a few moments and let people see that I'm live. I see some of you just starting to pop in. So hi, Flo. Welcome. Can you hear and see me okay? Just want to share this to my page as well. Hey, Meredith. Welcome, gorgeous sister. Thanks for being here. Hi, Lisa. Can you hear? Oh, there it is. Just popped right up there. So I guess I answered my own question. I can hear it. Hi, Beth. How are you, sweetheart? Hey, Nikita. Hello, Judy. Welcome. How are you all doing this week? Hi, Susan. Welcome. Just bear with me. I'm just sharing it and letting people know that I'm live. Okay. Oh, well, I'm so glad that you did make it, Beth. It's wonderful to have you here. See if I missed anyone when I was looking. Oh, that's awesome, Meredith. Thank you. Okay, so how are you all feeling? How's everyone doing? We have a full moon tomorrow, the last of the year. I hope that you've all had a wonderful holiday so far. As you know, the party isn't over quite yet. So I hope it's been wonderful. I know that this time of year can be very difficult for some. So I do hope that everyone has been having quite a blessed and loving time. So I guess I'll just go over the kind of get the how this works out of the way for anybody who's new. This is, again, an oracle message. So what that means is that I myself am an oracle and an intuitive. That means I am able to connect in to higher beings of light, as well as my family of light, and my higher self, to discern higher guidance and insight for all of us and what we most need. These are only messages of positive good, messages to assist us in empowering us and helping us to embrace energy as it does come in each and every week. I use my own intuitive abilities as well as oracle cards. So the different cards I use are really intuitive process of how I choose them and what wishes to come forward to connect and work with all of us, as every oracle deck is also unique. And so I ask that message for higher guidance for all of us at the beginning of the week to really have an understanding or a heads up as to what the energy or the theme is. And that really assists us in having the awareness to move in a harmonious flow with what's occurring and what's going on, versus trying to struggle against, blindly going into it without having any knowledge of what's happening and why you might be feeling the way that you're feeling. Having that awareness is power. Awareness is always half the battle, if not more. So it's a really a wonderful way for us to get that insight to really just flow in harmony with the energy of the week. Okay, so again, it's all positive messages. These are not personal individual readings, though I do offer those. You can check out my services and the readings that I offer on my page, or even over at my sister business, Oracles of the Light, and check out our services. We offer both remote readings as well as video recordings. So you can schedule those with us privately. We also offer one-on-one in-person as well as remote energy healing sessions, and quite a few different things that you can check out. But again, this is more of an overall message for everyone, so it's not personalized individual here. It will resonate with everyone uniquely as to what it is that is occurring within your own life. Okay. Hello, beautiful Annie. Welcome. Hi, Alan. Thanks for being here. Hi, Julie. Barbara. Welcome. Oh, thank you all for popping in with me this evening. So it's quite an interesting. It's been quite an interesting month. It's been an interesting year, to say the very least, and to be the most positive about that. It's really been. It's going to be quite an interesting week, as well, as we really are wrapping up the end of a year. So not only do we have the last full moon tomorrow, we have it in its own sign. So we're going to talk about that too, in the sign of Cancer. Then we're also going to be talking about the fact that it is the end of the year. So, and what that's going to really mean for all of us. So before I get into the actual Moonday message, for those of you who are new, what I'd like to talk about is any news and announcements that might be going on here at my page, Magical Me, any events or offers I have, as well as my sister business, Oracles of the Light, with my two partners, Lindsay and Karen, and what we also might have going on. So there's not a lot to announce this week, as we're not ready to really kind of put too much out this time. But then also I talk about the energy or empathy forecast and what I might be intuitively feeling and how that might assist you in what you most need to know, or what might be going on energetically, like the full moon. And then I pull the Moonday message from an oracle deck, and then I interpret that. Afterwards, we work with a mudra together, and that just assists us in really facilitating the energy or the message that wants to come through and really empowering us. So we'll talk more about mudras when we get there. For now, I'll start with news and announcements. So let me just make sure that there we go. Okay. So news and announcements. Let's see. Oracles do not currently have anything going on that we are ready to announce at this time, although within the next week or so that will be changing. What I am offering right now is more so, some of you are already familiar with this, and some of you have maybe not heard me talk about it, and maybe there was a little bit of, I don't know if it was a little bit of reluctance on my part, or if I just wasn't really fully ready. But now more so than ever, I've really been feeling the call to really embrace my language of light, and how I do utilize that to facilitate healing and activations for people. So especially as we are really we're in that period of transition, and we are really about to shift into a whole new way of being. And it's not just with the coming year of 2021. It's the whole year as it is really the beginning stages. It's like the birthing of the new way, that new era. So I've really been guided to work more with my personal language of light, and assisting others and having one-on-one transmissions with them. And these would be remotely, so they would be a live remote session. And working with others to allow them to kind of bring up anything that they might be struggling with, and anything that might be currently, weighing down on them. And even if they don't know what it is, it's really just a way for me to sit with them, connect with them heart to heart, and really just share a light transmission that will custom specifically for them, that will allow them to open up and to release and have that healing that comes in, as well as it's also a way of them beginning to accept new codes of light to really help them open up and move forward, breaking free of old cycles. So if that's something that you think that you're interested in, I am booking sessions out in the beginning of February. So January is a bit packed for me, but as of the beginning of January, I'm starting to book out those sessions. And again, they are just done through a private video chat. So if you're interested, those sessions are going to be $33, and it's really only about a 45-minute session, half hour to 45 minutes. So if you're interested in that, just reach out to me privately, and we will discuss it further or get you booked. Okay. Hey, Deborah. Welcome, lovely. Thank you for being here. All right, so that's really it for the news and announcements. There's not a whole lot going on just because it being the end of the year, and everybody is in this period that I'm going to be talking about right now, which really is within the womb. We are in that whole womb space of restoration and kind of going into this place of completion, but it's at the same time that place of full and new potentiality where we are getting ready to actually be birthed into a whole new way of being, or a whole new world. And I talked about this quite a few times already, where I was having these visions of two worlds for a time. And the more and more I thought about that, the more and more I started seeing a card that it's actually a painting that Cheryl Yambrick Rose painted, and she put it in her Art Through the Eyes of the Soul Oracle deck. Let's see if I can find what I did with it. And this is really what it looks like. So, we are in this womb space, which is the Vesica of the Pisces Vesica, and you have the two circles which represent the old world and the new. And so we've kind of begun leaving the old, but we aren't quite fully in the new. And it's that time again where, like I said, it's like the void, that point of creation, but it's also the point of endings. So we're in this transitionary period where we're still really releasing and being, I guess you could say, kind of like shedding the last of our old patternings, the last of our old skin, and really getting ready to be birthed into just this whole new way. So the full moon in Cancer tomorrow actually plays a really big role in that, and I find it very interesting and not a coincidence that it comes into, for the end of the year, for the final full moon, it comes into its home or its ruling sign, I guess you could say, or the moon is the ruler of Cancer. And the sign of Cancer is the first water sign. So it's very much about the emotions and the intuitive, and water is really that whole purifying, restorative, birthing energy that's needed in alchemy. So for me, I saw that as my moon sign is Cancer, so it's where I'm most comfortable and I'm most familiar with. But I did find it interesting that we moved into, it's back to where it's comfortable. It's back to where it belongs, if that makes sense. So with that said, Cancer is an incredibly sensitive and emotional energy. And when I say emotional, I don't mean that in a negative way. Although, obviously, with the energy, if you are not balancing, if you are not grounding your energy, that can make for quite a messy emotional experience, I guess you could say. But it's more so with feeling. That's what I mean. In touch with its emotions. And that's important, because if you think about how the last, I don't know, how many thousands of years have been, it's really been about repressing the feeling, the intuitive, the instinct, the emotion, to not show it, to not wear our hearts on our sleeve, to keep those parts of you hidden. And I understand that because of the fact that as a moon sign, our moon sign is that hidden nature of ourselves, that part that we don't show to others, that we are at our core. And so for me, it is the sign of Cancer. So it's really about how sensitive you really are to energy around you, how sensitive you are to other people's thoughts and emotions, how sensitive you are to occurrences within the world, to toxins, and really becoming more mindful of that and how those impact you both negatively and positively, and beginning to discern what it is that you may need to start to separate yourself from. And it's, again, I'm having flashes of that Vesica Pisces with the two worlds, and how it's showing us as we're in this Vesica, this womb space, this incubation. It's showing us, it's allowing us to come into this place of deep reflection, and almost like we're being able to, for the first time, and really not for the first time, but it feels like for the first time maybe this year, because of the amount of distraction we've had with, unfortunate events, that we're really being able, it's like we're coming into this place, this darkness, and all around us is like this holographic image of our life unfolding and playing out, and seeing how we have been affected both positively and negatively by circumstances, by situations. And maybe these are traumas that you have endured. Maybe these are just patterns that you yourself exhibit or engage in. Maybe it's behaviors that you yourself exhibit and embody. Maybe it is the experience of the world around you. Maybe it is relationships and friendships or family connections, and how any circumstance really has, again, affected you. And has it had a negative or positive effect on you? And what it is that you can do to ensure that you've learned from any experiences while you're here in this womb space. And again, whether or not it's negative or positive, it's essentially necessary. It was essentially necessary. And I think that's what the biggest reflection for me is right now, is that I'm really feeling this whole... First of all, I'll say before I get to that, but first of all, I was really feeling the energy for the last about 2 days, I'd say. I was feeling this really heavy, grieving heart energy. Like my heart was feeling so heavy, so sad, and almost broken, if that makes sense. And I did really feel like I was grieving something. And it took a moment for me to really reflect on what that was. And I definitely understood that it wasn't mine personally, that it was the collective, and I was tuned into what the collective might be experiencing. But essentially, we're grieving life as we know it. We're grieving the old way and the old of everything that we understood as normal. And that way of living and that way of being, because, we can never go back to that. And essentially, we're not meant to go back to that. So part of that was showing me what it is that the world is being asked right now to embrace, to connect into. And that's that Cancerian energy. That is that deeply sensitive, emotional energy. And it's important to feel that. So it's okay for you to have these feelings of grieving right now, or heartache, or disappointment and being upset. But the point of us experiencing it is to really honor what it is that we have experienced up until this point in our lives. And it's literally, for me, it was this point of, I saw myself and who I was, the identity of who I was, from a third party perspective. And everything that I had to do in this life, everything that I've had to endure, everything that I have done, every mistake that I've made, bad decision, every struggle that I've gone through, and every amazing thing that I've learned and become. I saw myself standing there like I was outside of myself. And instead of being in that place of like, I'm like, I don't want to be that person anymore, and just kind of like good riddance, I actually was able to love that person. I was actually able to come into a place of gratitude for that person, and not just who that person was, but everything that person experienced. and I was able to recognize that I was incredibly grateful for who that person was and what they went through, because it carried me to become who I am. But that person now is no longer necessary, because I'm now not the same. I'm someone completely different, and I am embodying this new light, or this new energy that I feel of the new earth, of the new way, and this new cycle. That light that represents that new potential waiting for me here on the other side of, the doorway, the other side of, the Vesica and what's awaiting there. So I feel like the Cancer full moon, the full moon, I talk about this, it's a time of completion. The fact that it's also considered the cold moon, because it is I think one of the names that it's also been dubbed as is the long night moon. And it's because the winter time, especially in the northern hemisphere, not necessarily the southern, but in the northern hemisphere, the cold moon, this is the time where the nights are still, they're very long. Even though we've passed the winter solstice and we're moving more and more towards the light, this is still very much a time of long nights, and that represents hibernation and coming into that womb space and connecting inwardly and reflecting on where you've been and what you've done, and what's worked, what hasn't worked, even the circumstances of 2020. This has been a life-changing year for every single one of us. And so maybe anything that you've lost, anything that you've struggled with, anything that you've endured, anything that might have even been wonderful, it's important for us to really be in that space now, coming within in hibernation, to really fully feel what we've experienced and what has occurred and played out. Because it's interesting that it's grieving that I'm feeling, because that's essentially the way to overcome grieving. The healing process is to feel it. It's so important when we experience a trauma or a loss to not just go on as if it did not happen. And that's what society really has taught us, is to just go on as if it didn't happen. It happened for a reason, and whatever that reason is, whether you can make sense of it or not, it doesn't matter. Whether it be a loss of a relationship, a loss of a job, the loss of a life, someone very close to you, a loved one, there's always a bigger meaning. There's always another layer to what it was. And at the end of the day, it was an incredible blessing at the same time that we had the situation in our life for the time that we did. And then, everything has its point of, you've learned all you can from this. You get to move on to the next journey. And so maybe beginning to look at all of your situations up until this point, all of your difficulties, even your traumas, looking at them as a teacher in a sense, and trying to understand now what you were meant to take away from that and what it taught you. And how going into the new, you will embrace only the lessons and the positive of what you learned, not the pain and the heartache anymore. So it's important, like I said, to feel all of this, to really allow yourself to grieve in these next couple of weeks, if it is, or for as long as you feel called to go within. It's really important to allow yourself to grieve, because it's making way for your basically your transformation, your ascension into that new light, into that new world that's waiting for you there. It's waiting for all of us. So use the energy of this Cancer moon to really come into yourself. And the way that I like to do that, or tell people a technique that I use to do that, is I really do see myself going down into the center of the earth. I really see myself going back through, and it's interesting because I have a very unique way of doing that, which is not just grounding my roots and going down. The way that I see myself doing that is I go back into my mother's womb, and then I see myself go from my mother's womb into my grandmother's womb, into into her mother's womb, all the way back into the womb of the divine mother, or into the mother in the womb of the earth mother. And I really just allow myself to be completely encompassed in darkness. And you can do this more than once. You don't have to do this just one time. And as I am in that space of darkness, you might want to sit in a room by yourself, turn all the lights out, just light some candles, grab a notebook and keep it next to you, and really reflect on any pings or feelings, anything that's coming up. Give yourself that space and time to really think about what it is that's going that you've really not dealt with, maybe over the course of this year or over the course of your life, and just really allow yourself to process that. So yes, this means that this could be an incredibly emotional week for all of us, and that's okay. Just remember to be mindful and be accountable for how you're feeling. If you are not feeling light and in a great space because of these emotions that you're dealing with and that are coming up, then take your time out. Don't put yourself in a situation with other people where you may lash out or really be triggered by that. Just allow yourself what you need. And really, if that means disconnecting and not communicating with people for a couple of days, just let somebody know, what's going on so nobody's worried. But take your time. Do what you need to do for you. And so that is what this full moon, which again, full moons represent the completion of a cycle, is really helping us to come into. Okay. Now, I will say on the other hand, now everybody is at a different place in their journey. So some of you might not be feeling that. So I have to say I did feel it for a couple of days. But then today I woke up and the first thing I said was, I feel excited for no reason. Like when I thought about myself, like, okay, so, when somebody asked me, okay, well, how's your day? How's your morning? How you feeling? The first thing I said was, I feel excited for no reason. Like, I don't know why. I feel like I'm excited because I'm going to do something, but I have nothing I have nothing planned. I have nothing to do. So I thought that was really interesting for me. And I don't think the moon is shifted into Cancer quite yet. I'm not sure. I don't know the exact timing. I'm sure my beautiful sister Meredith Morris of Mermaid Trove does. And if you choose to share, great. If not, don't worry about it, sweetie. But I don't think we quite went into Cancer yet, or maybe we may have just done so. But it's, the full moon for tomorrow will be in that energy, but you may already be feeling it. And those of you who are ruled by Cancer in some way, whether it is your moon or your sun, specifically your moon, you might have been feeling it sooner than the rest, because of the whole, we know. We've got a solar system and the cosmos within our biofields. So we feel it's like we're moving along the orbits just with the planets as well. So you may have been feeling it already, but for me, like I said, today I woke up and it was just like, if I could have skipped, maybe I would have skipped, because I just felt that amazing, and I just felt like light today, and so I was guided to go outside and sit with the sun and the beautiful blessings of light that were coming in. We had a very warm day today. I won't say it was warmer than what it should be for this time of year. Maybe not warm to some, but it was warmer, and I was able to actually be outside with those beautiful rays of light that were coming in. And that's important, especially in these winter days. Get outside and get that vitamin D. Really allow yourself. I remember I stopped at the window for a second when I was making my coffee. And there was a moment where the light was really shining in onto my face, and I closed my eyes and I just caught myself go like that. And then I heard, because you get that moment of like logic kicks in, and your logical brain, and you're like, what are you doing? I was like, what are you doing, Jamie? And then I heard you were drinking in the sun. And it was something that just intuitively happened, where I didn't even realize I was doing it until I did. So get yourself outside when possible, just to really absorb that sunlight, if you can, for 10 minutes a day. That will help with what we all normally experience as those winter blues anyway, but really when we're in this deeply transitionary emotional grieving time, it's so important. So the rays of light that were coming in, I was actually guided to share those rays of light and a light language transmission that was to bring about the restoration of our life force energy, a renewal of our vitality, as well as helping us to see and feel hopeful for the coming year instead of those feelings of dread or anticipation that we don't really know based on what we've already experienced for 2020. It was a message that I was guided to bring forward with a transmission. So if you haven't seen it already, I shared it on my personal page as well as here on Magical Me. So just scroll down a little bit and you should see a video there, and it is a light language transmission. So that will assist as well. You can listen to that as many times as you feel called to do so. It's a really deeply sensitive and emotional period this week, but for really good reason. And again, like I said, I woke up feeling completely renewed and restored. So the moon in Cancer had quite a different effect on me. I think it does have to do with where you're at on your journey, maybe what you've been dealing with, the work that you've been doing. So it's okay. Everybody's where they're supposed to be for a reason. And who knows, tomorrow I could wake up feeling like my life is over. Like you're up and then you're down. We never really know what's going on. But, I feel like I'm ready to step out into the light and embrace a new role. So I really do, if that's any hope for what some of you aren't feeling that way, might be able to start feeling once you're through this little window, if you will. I do hope that helps. All right, so I think that's pretty much it, other than obviously the new year. The new year is this week, and that's something to be excited about. I'm excited. I'm hopeful, and I hope that all of you can be as well, because, one of the messages that I shared last week and what has been coming up so strong this past week is that you are now responsible for yourself and for the creation of the world. It's a big deal, isn't it? And I said it that way on purpose because it shows you just how accountable you need to be for your thoughts. So when you're saying, I don't know what we're going to expect because of such and A, B, and C going on right now, remember you're creating. Okay, so to be mindful of that. And it's important. 2021 is going to be about accountability and justice. I also heard intuitively that 2021 is also going to be where the intangible becomes tangible. So I think that's important for us all to remember and hold on to and keep in the back of our mind. So whatever it is that seems impossible, we make it possible. It's like the path isn't yet built. It's built with each thing that we do or think. And we're building literally as we're living each day. Okay? So be mindful of that. Okay? All right, let me check some of these comments and then I will get into the Moonday message. Hi, Lori. Hi, Dawn. Dawn says, yes, me too. Hi, Sandra. Welcome, beautiful. Thank you for also being here. Hey, Karen. Thanks for popping in. Oh, never late. Just talking about the energy forecast. I haven't quite yet pulled the moon day, but Meredith says, or what house Cancer lives in your chart. That is where you feel it. That's a really good point. I was looking at that. Was it not Cancer though? I was looking at Saturn and Jupiter the other day, and I thought to myself, you know what? I have not looked at that. I need to really look at where Saturn and Jupiter is impacting me. Thank you for pointing that out too. Saturn and Jupiter, surprisingly, and you know this because you know my chart, but it's in the 9th house for me of spirituality, and so I might have something to do with what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling the way that I am. So, and I will say, hey, Fred, Patty, Candace, Sherry, I didn't see you, and Laura, I didn't see you all sneak in. Welcome, thanks for being here. Hi, Monielle. What I will say is that for those of you who might be like, what are you guys talking about? Houses, what does that mean? I don't know anything about my moon sign. Meredith Morris again, her page is Mermaid Trove, and she has also a group where you all can, she can kind of give you the direction or assist you with getting your birth chart, at least the beginnings of the birth chart to the basic understanding. But she also does birth chart and natal chart readings. She is quite the beautiful astrological queen. So definitely want to check out her page and her groups. Okay. Thank you, Meredith. I appreciate you. Okay. Oh, you're so welcome, sweetheart. Let's get into the Moonday message and see what it is that's coming up for that. And I did for a second take a little bit to figure out, which deck was calling me, and what was coming up was actually the Oracle of the Mermaids by Lucy Cavendish. And that's no surprise because of the emotions and the water element there. And, mermaids represent that deeply emotional, and I should say they bring up awareness to our emotional energy and body, as well as our relationship with self, our emotions, and our relationship with others. So very guided to work with the mermaids as we're talking about Mermaid Trove. Meredith says, I had a starseed origin reading, and I'm so excited to explore more about it. I want to eventually offer your starseed origin based on your birth chart. Ooh, that sounds amazing. I'm quite intrigued, so you are absolutely going to have to talk more to me about that. I love it when you talk like that. So, yeah, sister, that sounds like it's right up my alley. So awesome. Good luck to you with that, because I'm excited. All right, here we go. So I'm going to invite you all into sacred space with me. So what I'm going to ask you to do is just, because we are all energetically connecting right now, even if it is remotely. Hey, Leah. Welcome, gorgeous. You are just in time for the Moonday reading. I've already done the news and announcements and the energy forecast, so you can catch all that back on replay. Meredith. All right. Yeah, Beth. Totally there. All right. So with that said, let's bring it into sacred space. So I'm going to have you all just close your eyes and just take that nice, deep, cleansing breath in through your nose. And as you release, blowing the breath out of your mouth, I want you to just release all tension in your body. All stress, all worry. Allow your body to start to relax. Relax your back. Unclench your jaw. Take another deep breath in through your nose. And feel yourself, as you release, coming deep down. Dropping your mind into your heart. And then feeling into your root chakra at the base of your spine and just dropping that down into the earth, connecting into Mother Earth, feeling your roots anchoring you deep down. One more nice cleansing deep breath in and release. And what guidance comes forward for the world as a collective's highest good for the week of December 28th, 2020, the final week of 2020? Well then, this is quite the card. Interesting. I talked about how I was like breathing in today. I caught myself doing that, taking that breath in and kind of, I was drinking. That's the word I heard, drinking in the sun. So that's really interesting. Hey, Bridge. Welcome, beautiful. Just in perfect timing. So this card is a 26 and it's essentially a number 8. So, 8 represents Typically in a tarot deck, it's represented by the Strength card. So it's all about having the strength and the courage to really kind of take your power back or step into a situation, be fearless, But 8 also represents career and finance at times, depending on the situation, depending on the cards. But it also represents the infinite cycle. And that 8 representing the infinity sign, which essentially is that it's the ebb and the flow. It is the interconnectedness of everything. And in that central point of an infinity knot, right where the lines cross there, that's what we refer to as 0 point. And that's that point of void as well as creation. And so it is that whole, exactly, what we talked about here, which is being in 0 point, where it's like the scales and the balance is getting reset, but at the same time, you're not fully ready to step forward. So you're just in that central point. And that's more so what I'm seeing with this 8. I'm seeing us as being able to kind of move away from that repeating cycle, but being able to kind of begin again. And that also is what the infinity is an embodiment of, is that there's no end. Everything is infinite. So that means that there is infinite supply, resources, abundance. That's another thing that I've been hearing a lot this last week or so, is the renewal of abundance and blessings and new opportunities and offerings actually coming into your life. So something to really hold on to. And that could be, again, where the whole career and finances also kind of come in. But that when you are infinite, you know that you're infinite, the universe is infinite. That means, again, as we create, as we go, it's really about there being no shortage of what it is that is available to you. So when you embrace that awareness, you really do release the worry and the whole limiting belief of lack, if you will. It's also it's the number of karma and karmic patterning. So it helps us see that there is karmic patterning that is being presented for the release and the liberation. Because that's why karmic cycles and situations are presented to us, is for us to be able to learn from them and liberate ourselves from them. So we have that opportunity right now to break free, okay? And that's why we're in that 0 point, the womb incubation space, okay? The card is air, and it says, breathing deep, entering into life, exchange of life-bringing energies. I love this card. One, because it's just such a beautiful depiction of a balanced connection between two souls, and this doesn't necessarily have to be about romance, okay? It's about that honoring of the give and receive and breathing life into one another, if that makes sense. And those situations that breathe life into you, or do they take your life force from you? And that was really what the solar blessing light transmission that I did today, it was all about, kind of being that breathing life into your kind of like your solar plexus there, with the whole solar blessings. It was really bringing in this whole like renewal of vitality, regenerating and energizing, and bringing in that whole renewed life force feeling, and helping to feel hopeful versus bogged down by the old, if that made sense. So when I drank in the sun, that's really what I was doing. It was breathing life into me. So what this feels like to me is the balance of exchange and those circumstances that it's coming into the awareness. And this is really what I talked about already with the energy forecast, is now being able to see almost like in full color your life from a third person perspective, where you can see situations as they happened or played out, and you can now see where, when we're in the situation, you can't see sometimes when you're being taken advantage of, or when a situation is actually like chipping away at your auric field and creating tears, or when circumstances are just draining. You can't really see it. We feel it, but sometimes we're just so in that autopilot, we don't know it or we're not paying attention to it. So to me, this is really showing us that, holding up the mirror to show us to reflect upon every single experience or circumstance within our life, and looking to the situations that no longer nourish us and enhance us or grow us, and what is no longer breathing life into us, and looking instead to those things that do breathe life into us. Also, simultaneously, where you yourself could be breathing life, paying it forward into something else. And what it is that you want to breathe life into. Is it a project? Is it an opportunity? Is it a job? Is it a relationship? What is it yourself? Because that's important. Remember, you got to put the air mask on yourself before you can help anybody else. All right. Anybody who's ever flown a plane knows that. And that's really like one of the most important, essential spiritual lessons that there is. And it's me first, and it's very hard to embrace that when you have been in a world that teaches us that we are not supposed to be first, if at all. It teaches us that's selfish, but that's not at all. Self-growth is important and essential in putting that life into yourself. So it's really about being in this place right now of looking to circumstances that haven't nourished you or don't nourish you, or that you can no longer nurture. And, because, for example, this could be asking you to reflect on what you have been nurturing, and what you're nurturing so much you're in the process of draining your own life force energy and maybe enabling a situation. So it's really important for us to really have this reflection on what it is that isn't an honorable give and receive in divine flow or in divine balance. And look at the infinity knot that I spoke of. It's completely even. There is no difference in either side of the knot, and the energy is flowing freely to both. So when you look to circumstances that are going to go forward with you in 2021, ask yourself if it's something that you are willing to give life into and breathe air into, because it equally breathes air into you. And now this is not about the expectation to receive, okay? So I want to make that clear, because that's a difficult one to balance and understand. It's not about the expectation to receive. It's just about now coming to that place of balance and wholeness within ourselves, that we now recognize that every circumstance in our life has to be balanced in order for us to live harmoniously, in order for us to be able to move into a higher place of not having to experience difficult karma. Because I want to understand that karma is neither good or bad. Most of you know that, but when we hear karma, we often think, oh no, So what I mean is difficult karma, difficult cycles that you enter back into because you're not recognizing now what is a healthy give and take, okay? So, and that's where the world is going. That is where we're meant to be moving into, this place of balance, honoring, understanding, compassion, equality. So it's all about that give and receive, that ebb and flow. So ask yourself what it is that you're taking with you moving forward. And when you begin to look to connections, whether it be partnerships, business-wise, whether it be romantic, this is about now getting yourself into that alignment with those connections that are equally breathing and taking, kind of like, like I said, the inhale and the exhale, and that you're doing that together. So again, everything is about balance now. Everything is about oneness and harmony. And that's the momentum that we want to keep going on. Okay. So again, it says breathing deep. And so that is also an important thing to remember. Something as simple as taking in deep breaths. So simple, yet oh so important and essential to our ability to remain grounded, balanced, level-headed. So really just taking those moments every day, whether it be the best time of the day for you is in the morning or the best time of day for you is in the evening. Although I would recommend morning if you could do it, because it really sets the tone for the rest of your day. Just taking those few moments to just take some deep, grounding, cleansing breaths in. If you can see the sun, even through a window, and do it that way, that's going to be really gratefully helpful as well. So taking those deep breaths in, entering into life. That also means really just stepping into your role, entering into life, meaning you're not just a bystander in what is going on in your life anymore. This is about you being the active, not only an active participant, but the creator of everything around you, okay? Exchange of life-bringing energies. And again, that's really just what I talked about, is we're entering into those connections, circumstances, situations, patterns, whatever it might be, reflecting on the ones that can't go with us into 2021 and the ones that we will honor as we move into 2021. And because you're doing that, because you're becoming more conscious of that, you are opening the door in 2021 to those patterns, to those relationships, to those opportunities, because you're setting the standard. You're telling the universe how you want to experience life. Okay? So I hope that makes sense and that resonates with everybody as we go forward this week, and you have the understanding. Again, possibly a very intensely emotional week, but we understand the why. When you understand the why, it's less about you being thrown around in a turbulent water than it is you moving in flow with the turbulent water, because you know what it's clearing and making room for. Okay? All right, that is our Moonday message. Hello, beautiful Doreen. Welcome. You know, everything will be available for you on replay, but thank you so much for being here with us. I hope that you had a wonderful holiday. And this microphone is super sensitive, so I'm sure you could probably hear my children in the background. So, mudra time. So let me see. I think I'm going to work with the elemental one again. So, what are mudras for anybody who is unfamiliar? So mudras are, essentially the word itself is Sanskrit, which is an incredibly ancient language, believed to be one of the first languages on Earth. And it is incredibly potent. It is very much effective in the way that light language is, where it is triggers and activations and sacred geometric patterns and light codes in the form of sound, in the form of a language. So therefore, when you say the Sanskrit words, they alone are incredibly activating and healing and helpful. But the word mudra is Sanskrit, and it translates into seal, what we understand as an energy seal, which also, to me, I see that as like a trigger button, or an activation button is probably a better word. Activation button. So these seals are formed with our hands. So we have chakras within our palms. Our fingers are connected to the elements and act as triggers. So when we form these seals with our hands, okay, so there are hundreds of different mudras out there. Some of them we do all the time unconsciously and don't even know it. People speaking, they do these, this is actually a really powerful mudra. So we work with these seals, and what we do is you channel intention as well as breathing, and you're channeling energy into your energy centers, also known as chakras. Now, these chakras control your energy body and the many different layers or bodies that you do have within what we understand as our energy body. Emotional, mental, physical, and your light body, or your I'm wondering if we're going to get a throat chakra mudra, because it's already starting. Most of you know I am a medical intuitive, and oftentimes when spirit wants to send me a message about a chakra or our body, they send it to me through my actual physical body. So I'm looking at one right now, and it's actually a throat chakra mudra for expansion. So it'll be interesting to see. So what I was saying was, when you work with these mudras, these seals, you form them with your hands, again, intention, you're channeling energy into your energy centers, which do connect into your layers. So any blockage that you may have on those layers, your emotional, mental body, your physical body, in the form of ailment or discomfort, or again, in your spiritual or light body, this enables us to activate and trigger energy directly into that energy center that corresponds to the seal or mudra that you're forming and working with, for that facilitation of free-flowing movement and energy, because you are channeling pranic life force energy into your body, which enables your body to really break through any of those blockages, because essentially you want to have your energy and life force flowing through you and all your energy centers freely, because those are the air that gets breathed into the rest of those bodies. If you have blockage within those bodies, it does get stuck and prevents your life force from flowing freely, which can create quite a lot of issues on your mental body, in your emotional body, but even more importantly, on your physical body. So working with these really does allow you to facilitate that growth and healing, as well as expansion in consciousness. Mudras have been being used for thousands of years by mainly the ancient Tibetan monks, but they've been used for, again, thousands of years by different cultures as well, not solely just Tibetan monks. And many different deities have been depicted in their statues as forming mudras in, when they were depicted. So with that said, I'd like to pull a mudra to, one, give us a way to not just hear the message that's coming forward, but to actually take our power into our own hands. Working with mudras does allow you to have the tools that empower you to growth, healing, and change. So I like to pull the mudra, and then we do that mudra together, and I'll show you how whatever mudra comes out is done. We'll do that together, and then I like to post the picture of the mudra on my page after the live is done, so you can go ahead and actually save that mudra to your phone or whatever device you watch on, and then work with that mudra all week long, because it's going to be the mudra for the week. So the more that you work with that mudra, the more it does facilitate that growth and healing that we are in need of this week. Okay? All right. Hi, Willa. Welcome, love. All right. So I'm going to just ask again for what comes forward for the week of December 28th, 2020 for the collective good. Ooh. Well then, air element on that side, that blue. Interesting, because air, once again, we've got air as our oracle card. That was interesting. But the actual mudra that we got is the, God, Goddess, forgive me because I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Adhamukha mudra. And it is activation. So I talked all about that. Look at all that fiery energy there. This is obviously the element of fire rules this mudra. But I did find that interesting that we had the air element on the flip side of that deck, and I was guided to kind of take a look at it. So very interesting, because the air, I'm just going to tell you this anyways because I keep getting called to it. It's the heart chakra. Air rules the heart chakra, which I never knew. You think I would, but I didn't know that. So when you think about that life exchange of energy there, that life exchange that we talked about in the card there, it's that heart-to-heart connection, the give and the receive, heart-to-heart. So I find that really interesting. Hey, Kathleen. Welcome, lovely. And yes, air does fuel fire. So, what's going on this week? No. We're going to focus on the positive. Transformation. Transformation is going on. That's what this mudra rules. It is transformation, inner fire, and clearing. So we did talk about that. Again, Kathleen, you can see when you catch back the replay, we did talk about being in the womb space this week, processing and dealing with emotions. So that really does make sense, as you need that inner fire, that cleansing purification to come in and help you to not only express and experience or be aware of those circumstances that can no longer go along with us. But it's also recognizing that rebirthing, it's giving you the purification that's going to help set you free. Okay. So this activates the digestive system, supports proper digestion, assimilation and elimination, reduces toxicity. We talked about that. Aids self-healing potential. So we're going to do this together. Again, it is the Adho-Mukha. Did I say that right? Adho-Mukha mudra. Probably sounds so ridiculous. I don't know. I guess light language, but I can't speak Sanskrit. I don't know what's going on with that. Hello, Roxana and Joanna. Welcome, beautiful ladies. You are on the mudra, but the replay will be available for you to catch back the Moonday message for the week, as well as the energy forecast. Okay, thanks for being here. All right, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to do this one together. It looks fairly simple. And it is to bring the tips of the thumbs together with the palms facing downward. Okay? But you can't see my thumb, so I'm palms facing downwards, okay? Pointing all other fingers downward and resting the back of the hands together. Meeting at the knuckle. Bring the hands in front of the belly, thumbs just in front of the navel. Yeah, Karen. There you go. It's so funny. As I was looking down, I was thinking about you. I look up and there's your name. All right. So you're just going to relax your shoulders. Lengthen your spine. Close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in. And as you release, blow the breath out of your mouth. Channeling that energy into your hands, into that energy center there by your navel. Interesting, because it looks like sacral, which is the womb space. Again, take another nice deep breath in. Release. Three more times. Deep breath in. And release. Again, breathe in. And release. Breathe in. Release. Last one, deep breath in. And release. And you can state, I activate and awaken my inner treasures. I activate and awaken my inner treasures. I activate and awaken my inner treasures. And so it is. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay. I definitely felt fire with that one. I definitely felt this whole warming sensation come over the top of my body. It got really warm for a second, so it's working already. So it's very interesting what did come forward this week with the air element, the fire, interestingly, there's this connection to the womb space, which is the Cancerian water energy that we talked about. So really powerful messages, very powerful end of the week, or end of the year is what I should say. It's a really powerful time. But remember what is waiting on the other side, so you're doing this work, this necessary cleansing for a really good reason, everyone. All right. So yes, Happy New Year to all of you. Blessed rest of the week. And thank you so much for being here with me. And I look forward to seeing you next year. Bye.